What's up, everybody? Welcome to The Frame. We take current events, cultural phenomena, and other topics, and we try to look at them through a biblical frame of mind. I'm Jacob, and we have a really fun topic for you guys tonight, so buckle up and let's get to it. And welcome back. So glad you're joining us. Let's go ahead and introduce our other hosts. We're just going to jump right in. Kevin, Tyler, how are you guys today?
I'm good.
My stream deck, so this is going slowly. Sorry. It's a lot harder to do this with my my trackpad. But we got there.
We got there.
We got there.
Where's the error button?
That's not it. There it is.
There it is. Kevin's had a long day at work.
Well,
I
think collectively as a nation we've been having a long day at work.
I agree.
I will I'll introduce our topic for the night. As you probably know from the title and thumbnail, there have been some developments in the Epstein saga, particularly on the political front. As we all know, Jeffrey Epstein is accused of many heinous acts, and majority of the public, I would say, is convinced that he has dirt on some high-profile individuals because
Epstein
of those
didn't
heinous
kill
acts.
himself.
Yeah, that
you
too.
Can't say that. GG's, we're cooked.
Shadow banned.
Shadow banned. Maybe not. Anyways, now we are all being told that there are no files and that we shouldn't care. As a Christian, this particularly rubs me the wrong way. I will fully admit that up until this point, with regard to Trump, I have been what I've kind of termed as like having a detached ambivalence, meaning that like emotionally I'm not invested, but I have mixed feelings. There are some things about him I like and other things about him that I very much dislike. This is pushing me very much in the direction of dislike now.
Yeah.
This is like a line too far. Not necessarily because of personal experience, but I have worked with kids who have been sexually abused. Sorry, YouTube.
Shadow banned.
Yeah, so
We are making $0 on this video.
Yeah, we weren't making dollars.
Have we been making dollars on these?
That's
videos?
the joke.
No, not at all. But
Kevin, have you been holding out on us?
I changed the password. Sorry.
Anyways, sorry. I know this is a more serious subject. It just sucks to feel like you're dancing on eggshells with YouTube, because this is an important subject. And like I said, I've worked with kids who've been in that situation, and to think that any figure in our nation in a position of authority would suggest that we shouldn't care about it is frustrating, to say the least. Jacob?
Yeah, honestly, that's my big thing with all of this. I've been, throughout all this stuff with Epstein and all the crap that's just been going on and all the politics that have been going on around it. I kind of, at a certain point, I kind of sort of withdrew a little bit and was just like, all right, well, I'll just wait for it all to come out and then I'll start paying attention. And then as soon as I heard that, I was like, excuse me, what are you talking about that we shouldn't care? That was the thing that for me, as soon as I heard him saying like, I don't understand why everybody cares about it. I don't understand why it's such a big deal to them. Like, just let it go. And I'm like, bro, this is literally like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. When it comes to child trafficking, that's that there's a line even for me that I like I hate to say this. As a pastor, I am required kind of to say
Yeah.
that no one is beyond saving, that no one is too far gone for Jesus. And while in my mind I do believe that, in my heart, someone who does stuff to kids, I have very different feelings than my mind does. My mind and my heart don't line up when it comes to doing wrong against kids. So that definitely I got a little heated on that one.
Yeah, and I think as parent, as a parent, like that's also particularly just disgusting to, and like Trump is a parent as well. He knows, and I think this is like, it's a clear form of gaslighting, trying to blame shifting, which like it's on brand. Like I said, I've had a lot of mixed feelings. I've been emotionally detached from it all, but one thing that's been very clear from the beginning to me about Trump, he's very egotistical, very prideful man. And this is a situation where it's clear that he's trying to blame shift and I guess try and fool the public. But I think everybody's seeing right through it. This is not working.
I also kind of like from just a straight up like analytical logic side of things. I go, okay, which is it? Are there no files, or should we not care? Like, if there are no files, then yeah, like we have nothing to care about theoretically. But if you're telling us that we shouldn't care, then why do you feel the need to tell us not to care if there truly aren't any files? The only reason to tell us not to care is if you're trying to cover up the fact that you're lying to us.
Yeah. Not to mention you spent like 2-3 years campaigning on this idea that there are files and that there are pedos out there that need to be brought to justice. And of course you're going to get a groundswell of support rallied behind that idea. And I think as Christians, like in the evangelical sector, we are in a sense like taught to care about this issue very deeply. Like, if anyone would hurt any of these little ones, it's better that he'd have a millstone tied around his neck and thrown into the sea. Like it's a very clear value in scripture. Like we are supposed to protect the young and the innocent. And that extends, to the poor and to the widow, anybody who's in a unfortunate position, the less fortunate than us. There's supposed to be a heart there. And that's always been my biggest gripe with the Republican Party that I've grown up with. Being born in, 94 and seeing from the 2000s on is like, okay, I can get behind most Republican values, but it's like the heartlessness behind a lot of it. Because like, even though personally I'm very much about the like pull yourself up by your bootstraps, get everything done on your own, personal accountability, personal responsibility, yes, but it's like the more I read in the Bible, the more I firmly believe that like, yes, those who are really down on their luck, there should be social nets and systems in place. I think they're best implemented by the church. I still have not moved off of that position. I don't think the government's the most efficient methodology of delivering that help. Yeah. Like, I mean, the government is famous for its mismanagement of everything. So I would love to see the church step up more and, the government not have to worry about the homeless or the hungry or, the kids who don't have good mentors in their lives. I'd love to see the church and Christians take on more of that. But yeah, to say that we should not care is, again, that's a bridge too far for me. And that's where it's like, I finally feel that I'm now like firmly in the camp of, I do not like this man, like, at all anymore.
Well, and I mean, there have been rumors that he's on that list, and so there is a part where you do kind of have to wonder, like, how much of it is in his self-interest versus how much of it is maybe they found someone on the list who has a lot of
Mhm.
clout, and they're, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to use the words because I don't want us to get shadow banned, but I think y'all are catching my drift in
Yeah.
terms of why a politician would suddenly start saying it doesn't exist because they found out that a certain whatever was on that list, and that certain whatever decided to say, man, make sure people don't find out.
Yeah.
Y'all can
There's
fill in
only
the
two
blanks.
logical. Yeah, there's only two logical scenarios here. Either he was ready to release the information, and then a certain somebody gave him a giant slap on the wrist,
Yep.
put a gun to his head, basically, or he's implicated in the list.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess a third option, it could be both.
Yeah.
Because those are just the only things that are making sense to me right now.
Yeah.
But I do want to bring this back to the I guess title of this is, why should Christians care? I think from a government perspective, I think we're supposed to be involved in, like, what's going on in our country, and pushing and campaigning. And I would now call for, like, as Christians, we should be demanding truth and protection of the innocents above all else. And at this point, I'm ready to say, like, we cannot any longer, like, I'm not saying, like, go and vote for, like, democratic or liberal values, but we can't support candidates anymore that are taking that kind of a stance of, like, why is anybody talking about this? Why
Mm-hmm.
does anybody care? Not to mention he's you know, called his base that does care about it, like, losers and weaklings and stuff like that. And I'm just like, dude, like, what are you doing? I
Yeah.
feel like he's almost intentionally burying himself. But again, like, as Christians, we should be demanding truth and accountability from our politicians.
Yeah.
And we should not be giving our vote to anybody who does not deliver that, especially someone who claims to be, like, of our flock, somebody
Yeah.
who claims to be on our side. That's just not good for me.
Yeah, and I've always had some, I've had like different views in terms of like how we as Christians engage in politics, because I grew up. I mean, I'm an army brat. I'm super patriotic. I'm not gonna lie.
Same.
At the same time, over the past several years, I have had a personal conviction about about separating my Christian values, my following Jesus values versus my American citizenship values, and seeing myself more as a citizen of God's kingdom than I am a citizen of any country, any nation on earth.
Which I think we should do as Christians.
Yeah, and I think we should. I think it's important for us to remember that we are, as the Bible says, sojourners, basically nomads, temporary dwellers, here on earth, and our true citizenship, our true calling is to heaven. But with that, there's also, like, there are examples in the Bible of Christians being engaged in politics. Two primary ones. Excuse me, and I know some people are going to be like, he wasn't a Christian. John the Baptist. Yeah, I know. He died before Jesus did, so he wasn't technically a Christian. Get over it. John the Baptist essentially preaching the gospel that Jesus was coming, telling people that Jesus was coming. One of the things he also did was he made the king mad because he called him out for his sin. Now, at the same time, yeah, I get the context is a little bit different because Herod was a Jewish king. He was a Jew. He was supposed to be the Israelite leader. And so on that standpoint, like, yeah, he would have been more rightly held to a standard of God's law than other politicians might. But even then, God called Paul to go and confront Caesar, to go and tell Caesar about the gospel, about Jesus. And so I see that, and so that's where I go, I do believe there is a biblical basis, like you're saying, for us to still be involved in politics. Not that we are, like, our identity shouldn't be wrapped up in it. Our hope
Mhm.
also should not be wrapped up in it, but it doesn't mean that we don't get involved, and it doesn't mean that we shouldn't
Yeah.
speak out when we see injustice.
Yeah. I I would also add that, like, I wonder if people know enough about this situation to, I guess, have a well-informed opinion. I'm trying to do that myself right now. I went to the library about 2 weeks ago and I picked up this book, Perversion of Justice, the Jeffrey Epstein story by Julie K. Brown. And as of right now, I'm about like 2/5 of the way through, almost halfway.
Yeah.
Um, it's a good book. It's a really well written, well sourced book. I know that there are some more bombshells to come later on, but this whole situation is well documented. There
Mhm.
is there is a lot of evidence for how deep like this corruption goes, and also to add, Julie K. Brown is an award-winning investigative reporter from the Miami Herald. It's written very much like an investigative report. I would say in novel format. I know that that might sound contradictory, but in the sense of like she did some digging on this. It's it's very entertaining as a read. Obviously, like sickening material,
Yeah.
but I do think that this matters. I do think that people need to learn more about this, and I think the last thing I would want is for Christians to allow this to be swept under the rug.
Yeah.
Um, I think we've got to, like you said with John the Baptist, we need to hold our leaders accountable, call
Mhm.
them out on their sins, which all of our leaders will have them. Again, I'm not like advocating to, for people to take a 180 and like go and throw their support behind some other party. Now, if a party came along that properly represented Christian values and beliefs, I would be all for it. I don't see that as of right now. Um, I think most of them are all lying and pandering to get our votes.
Yeah.
um, I think that's pretty evident at the government level, and I don't say this to be harsh, but I think you're a fool if you think that most of these politicians at the congressional and presidential level actually care about our issues to the extent that they say they do.
Yeah.
I
I
think
don't.
it's for power and influence. Um, but to circle it back around, people need to be demanding truth, especially Christians. I don't want us to be the quietest voice in the room just because the leader that most of us have put our weight behind is now like turning tail on this issue.
Yeah.
Um, I don't want us to kind of like sink away and hide and get quiet just because like now it looks like we're having to eat some crow, and the guy that we believed in, for a majority of us in the Christian camp, is now looking like he's part of the problem as well. We need to be vocal and call out people's sins, and that would be my last thing that I would want to say on this.
Yeah. I think my last thing that I want to throw out there is James talked about true and undefiled religion. He was talking about people who think they're religious, who think they have works, or
Mhm.
who say they have faith but they don't have works, and who are uh, touting this religiousness, if you will.
Yeah.
And he said, "Hey, if anybody wants to be religious, here's what true and undefiled religion looks like. It
Mhm.
is to care for the orphans and the widows and to keep oneself unspotted from the world."
Yeah.
And that for me, like when I see it saying care for the orphans and widows, I don't think that's specifically saying like, hey, care for women whose husbands have died and children who
Mhm.
have no parents. Like, I think that's definitely part of it. Like, I think that's definitely like the primary aspect.
Yeah.
But I think within that same group are those who are, as you mentioned earlier, down on their luck.
Yeah. People who are in need,
Especially,
like
yeah,
desperate need.
yeah. I think it's a blanket for anybody who's in need.
Mhm.
And obviously not the lazy, because there's other stuff about that. but especially when it comes to children. We see that children are close to the heart of Jesus. We see that children throughout the Bible are the thing that, like, they are to be protected above all else.
Yeah.
And so if we are truly wanting to be religious, if we are truly wanting to live out our faith of loving God and loving people, I mean, James tells us right there, if you want to practice religion, that's what it looks like, is caring for those who can't care for themselves.
Yeah.
And so frankly, when it comes to this kind of an issue where really the thing that's at stake is children who are being trafficked, who are being taken advantage of, who are being taken away from their families, taken away from wherever they might have come from, and they are being used for people who see them as objects rather than as people. That for me, that it's heartbreaking. Like, and I would, if you're a parent out there watching this or listening to this, my question for you is, what lengths would you go to get your kid back if your kid was taken? And why? And if you are not feeling really much on this issue, if you're kind of indifferent towards this issue, I would ask you, why would you go after your kid if they were taken, but you're not willing to go after someone else's kid? Or after a kid who doesn't have anyone else? Why are we willing to let them suffer, and we're willing to let them get taken advantage of? Imagine if it was your kid.
And it's not like we can go back and fix those situations and, retroactively save those kids, but what we can do is stand up for them and use our voices and our political pressure to,
and the reality is,
hold.
A lot of those people are still out there.
Yes.
A lot of the people whose names are on that list are probably still engaging in this activity. And so if that list were to come out, it would go a long way in revealing a lot of the infrastructure behind this, or at the very least, the people that are a lot of the people that are funding it.
Yeah. I think to close it out, last thing I'll say is that as Christians, we need to be praying about this situation, that truth would come out. And so, anyways, that's all I've got for you guys for this week. I know it's a bit of a shorter episode, thankfully for Kevin here. Producer Kev needs some sleep.
Yeah,
but I would just urge all Christians, please pray that the truth would come out and that justice would be served, because we serve a just God, and we are called to be an extension of God's will here on earth. So we need to be actively calling for that justice. Yeah. Jacob, anything else?
I was looking up to see if are any petitions, and I'm not seeing any petitions yet, but that I would go along with what Tyler's saying here. Yeah, we need to pray. We need to pray for justice to be done. We need to pray for righteousness to prevail here. But also, if you have a practical, tangible way where you can make a difference, do it. Do it.
Absolutely.
But with that, that's our episode for tonight, guys. Hey, if you once again, if you like the content that we put out, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notified when we go live on YouTube. We're also on Spotify as well. We have a Discord channel, so if you have questions about stuff, if you want to come and just have a conversation with us, we would love to do that. We take topic requests, and who knows, we might even have you on one of our episodes. We've done that before, and it was really fun. So we would love to engage with you guys. We'd love to talk with you guys. So go join our Discord. All of that will be plugged down below in the description section of this video. And until next time, we love you guys, and remember to keep a biblical frame of mind as you go through life. See you next time.
Bye.